Latest business news with our editor Charles Pellegrin. For the fourth consecutive year, France was the European country that received the most foreign investments in 2022. Our business editor is here on site with more. Hi, Charles.
That's right. It was a tough transition, Erin. That's the fourth consecutive year, France topping the rankings in terms of foreign investments in 2022. That's the result of the latest survey on foreign investment in Europe, run by consultancy firm EY. This is calculated on the basis of the number of projects in the year. France is on top of the podium with 1,259 new projects, a 3% increase compared to the previous year. The UK is second, though, with a 6% drop, and Germany comes in third with 832 projects. Looking at the number of jobs created per project, though, France is lagging behind the UK and Germany with 33 jobs created on average. That's due to a number of factors, notably the fact that many of the new projects in France are actually extensions of previously existing ones as opposed to entirely new ones. Another explanation given by some observers has to do with the cost of hourly labor in the country and the particulars of French labor legislation. So for more on this, let's speak with Pascal Cagni, who is joining us on set. Thanks for being with us. You are the chairman of Business France, the government agency dedicated, among other things, to promoting inward investments towards the country. First off, Mr. Cagni, in your opinion, how do you explain this lower number of jobs created per new investment project in France?
You need to appreciate that when you do 1,259 as per the EY reports, you've got a vast majority of jobs, including the R&D. Remember that 1 out of 5 R&D centers coming to Europe is coming to France, which is actually a testimony to the talent, to the tax incentives that we're offering, and also to the ability we've got to basically look forward on the new technology. Once this is said, you can always see the half empty, half full glass. The hard fact is that for 2 or 3 decades, France was never on the podium. Over the last 4 years, after an amazing set of reforms, we've been able to crystallize an amazing number of key assets. Remember, for years, France has been investing in its infrastructure. Finally, we recognize the French talent. The number of patents that we are depositing on a regular basis is unique. For all of these reasons, I think that France, for the last 4 years, have been thrilling on this. Same for the industry. We have an industry which is helping us to basically have 1 out of any of 5 investments coming to France is actually, to Europe, is coming to France. And better than that, we're also going after the smaller cities. In excess of 60% of all of this investment will be in cities of less than 20,000 inhabitants, which is quite important to make sure that the whole territories benefit of this. So for all of these reasons, I think we are very pleased by these results. How can we not be? We have actually increasing the lead compared to our German, French, or English competitors. For all of these reasons, I think we should celebrate.
Regarding this issue of cost of labor that's been put forward as a possible reason for the number of jobs created being lower than in other countries, isn't there an argument to be made that the social safety net in France and the cost of labor actually is also a plus in terms of investment because it creates a certain kind of infrastructure or a certain setting that can attract foreign investment in the country?
No, I had the privilege in my long career in the IT trying to recruit people from around the world. And I learned on the hard way that when I was looking at recruiting people in the UK, with only a 14% of national insurance overall tax compared to the classical 45% that you will get in the continent, right? On the first side, you will see it's lower, but the net in pocket for the employee, the total cost for the enterprise will be actually higher. So I think it's true that we are very pleased to offer a welfare state. We want to be basically very balanced in that, and that allows us to attract all the researchers that we talked about on R&D, allow us to do the logistics centers also where we need a handful numbers of extremely talented people. That's why we're also thrilling on the data centers. For all of these reasons, I think the questions of the salary cost is a real one. It's true that we are slightly higher on the services side. On the manufacturing side, in our respect, thanks to the reductions of tax we have on the production taxes, I think we're extremely competitive, lower actually than Germany, and that should be said.
Well, speaking of industry, actually, 43% of foreign investments last year, according to the report, were in the industrial sector. So quite an increase, actually. Before the pandemic, that figure was around 34%. This has been a governmental priority, especially when it comes to strategic industries like semiconductors, for instance. Will this eventually lead to the French economy actually turning a trade surplus, something that hasn't been seen since 2004?
First, our trade surplus has been slightly improving over the last quarter. As you know, it has been driven essentially by the higher cost on energy. And I'm not sure that yet, within a short, near future, we could see a trade surplus, right? You need to see about the trade surplus we have on services, on the product. We need to reindustrialize the country. That has been the heart of what President Macron has been doing. That's what he's going still to announce today, tomorrow. That's why we are welcoming all of these 200 plus CEOs at the Choose France Summit in Versailles next Monday. And essentially, all the focus of the government or the country is about creating the first decarbonated economy by 2030. And I believe that by then, you will see that France will have moved dramatically toward a much stronger industrialized country, which will help to get after a trade surplus.
Well, in a tenser geopolitical landscape over the past few years, there's also more screening of foreign investments coming to France, and there's a sizable number of projects that have been denied or stalled or for a number of different reasons, especially on strategic sectors. How do you balance the need to increase foreign investments while protecting national interests?
No, the figures just went out. You've seen that several hundreds of these investments have been screened. A vast majority of them have gone through. So again, this is the half empty, half full glass that we should talk about. But yes, the happy globalizations, it may be gone. We're going to be less naive about who we want to basically invest in a country. We're going also to have some reshoring or friendshoring which will benefit on the long run to all Europe overall, and especially to France. Interesting to see that actually South Europe, which is always pointed the figures as being the laggards of the European economies, is actually benefiting dramatically of this reshoring coming from the Far East for the Asian and so on. So for all of these reasons, I believe that we will continue to basically demonstrate A plus Z that Europe is less naive, fighting, I've got a plan, going after the green transitions. And I think we can be quite optimistic by what we hear from the leaders of this world and what they want to do and invest, voting with their checkbook into our country and Europe overall.
You mentioned already the Choose France Summit taking place on Monday in Versailles. We're expecting a wide array of business leaders from around the world and the French president as well. What can we expect from that summit this year?
I can tell you already, because it's been in the press, that we should have the higher records in billions of dollars and in capex of investments that we have ever seen over the last 4, 5, 6 editions of this summit. I think this is a testimony to the strategy that has been ours, which is essentially bringing, like in Prologium tomorrow in Dunkirk, large investment. We talk about billions of investment. The same you have seen in Kroll on the semiconductors. The same you have seen with Eastman on the waste management and pet management. So that's what you will see. We'll see an array of investment and some challenges also about how we can be more flexible on our workload, how we can basically be more aggressive towards the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. And you will see a great news is coming up into the next 24, 48 hours.
Pascal Cagni is the chairman of Business France. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24. That wraps it up for the business news, Aaron.
Thank you very much to you, Charles, and to Mr. Cagni for joining us here on Live from Paris. That's all we have for you for this edition, but do stay with us. I'll be back in just a few minutes with another look at the day's headlines. Stay with us.